What's up, y'all? This is Preston Perry, and this is another episode of Bold TV where we live and love truth. Let's get right into it.
Even though he submits perfectly to the will of the Father, that does not mean that the Father is more God than him.
God cares about the posture of our hearts when we do apologetics, but he also cares about how we treat people when we do apologetics.
Have you mistaken being woke with hatred?
So in this episode, what I'm going to be doing is talking to an agnostic. What an agnostic is somebody who believes that there is no way to prove that there is a God, but they also believe that there is no way to prove that there is not a God. Now, in my experience, I've come to realize that there are two types of agnostics. There is the agnostic that used to believe in God or used to believe in the faith, who has strayed away from God for whatever reason, and they're in this stage of agnosticism where they can't really answer in their own heart whether there is a God or whether there's not a God. And typically, some of these agnostics are on the verge of atheism. It's a slow drifting away from what they used to believe into becoming an atheist. But there are some agnostics who are very comfortable in this might zone, that there might be a God, that there might not be a God, and there's no way for any of us to prove that there is a God. These agnostics are more concerned about disproving religion than actually trying to figure out whether God actually exists. They're more concerned about talking about the earth and how the earth disproves that there is a God, or how the earth doesn't necessarily prove that there is a God or prove that there isn't a God. This is the type of agnostic that we're about to talk to right now. Check it out. Hope y'all enjoy it.
My name's Preston. I'm a Christian. Do you believe in God, or
I don't.
you don't believe in God at all? So, do you believe? Have you ever believed in God?
No, not really.
No, not really. Okay. So, can I ask you why haven't you believed in God? Why don't you believe in God?
I mean, I definitely think that there could be some like spiritual thing, but in terms of Christianity, I don't believe in that sort of God. Same way as the Muslim religion, Islam religion, and Judaism, and the just traditional Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
I think they're really great. They're really great metaphors and myths with a lot of like good value, but that's as far as I think that they should be taken.
So would you consider yourself an atheist?
I would definitely consider myself a little bit more agnostic than atheist, but I just don't believe in like the Christian type of God, like some sort of physical type of entity,
Yeah. So when you say agnostic, you believe that it might be a God up there.
There
you
might
just
be something,
yeah,
but I don't even know if we should call it God.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. So, do you believe that truth is subjective, or?
I definitely believe in objective truth.
Yes.
I mean, subjectivity is objectivity. Everyone does have subjective truths, and that is an objective thing that we all share, But I definitely think that there are things that are objectively true, like there is pain in the world, love is real, and things like that. The sky is blue, 2 + 2 is 4, Quantities are objectively the same in so many parts of our universe. So I think that there are things that are the same no matter where. Probably limited, but I do think that they're out there.
That's good. I never really heard that perspective before. And so when you believe, considering God, right? You said there might be a God, or there might not be a God, right? So I believe in the God of the Bible. I believe in the God of the Holy Bible, the Scriptures. I believe that Jesus is God in the flesh. So because I believe that that Jesus is God in the flesh, I have a moral standard in which I live by, right? So my question to you is, would you say it is wrong for someone to kill you? Would you say that's a wrong thing?
Yeah, of course. It's immorally wrong. Because I don't subscribe to any religion doesn't mean that I don't think that there are things that are immoral. Of course they are. I mean, those are things, again, created by humans.
Gotcha.
So there are immoral things that we accept that are immoral as a society, as a culture, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So what do you get your moral standard from? Society?
Yeah, for the most part, or just kind of just trying for me to like see like how would I like it if XYZ happened, or if someone treated me like this, or things like that. So like again, my subjective perspective does encompass some objective societal truths. But I think there's some truth in those things. There's a reason why when we're talking ethics, there's a reason why there are things that are objectively accepted, honestly, throughout every single culture that has ever existed. Like, you don't kill your own kind. And that, for reason being, is because we want to ensure the survival of our culture, of our people, you know? Like, it's a DNA thing.
Right. So what if, so say for instance, you meet another agnostic, and he believes that, you know, that there might be a God or might not be a God, but his moral standard says it's okay to physically harm you. Like how do you argue with his worldview when you both get your moral standards from two different places? Like, how do you say your worldview to harm somebody is wrong, and my worldview not to harm people is right? Like, who's right? Which one are you right? Is he right? Or is both of you right? Is both of you wrong? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's when you hope you're a good debater and a philosopher. But I mean, you can disagree with people, of course. You just have to figure out a way to get them to see where you're coming from, and you're going to do that through your words, you know, through your actions and just some good ass argumentation.
Gotcha. I guess the question that I'm trying to argue is, who determines what's morally right and what's morally wrong? We do as a society.
Absolutely.
So
we always have. We are the ones that give meaning to things.
So when you say we, you mean the people? You mean the government?
Yeah, everyone that participates in living.
Gotcha.
Like every human that has hair on their body. Like, I mean, everyone.
So
whether you actively participate or not, you're still participating, either by abiding to the rules or, you know, enforcing them, whatever, but like, you're still here, you know?
So what you're saying is, if the people, as just, you know, the general population and the government pass a bill or pass a law that says this is morally right, that's the law that we have to go by. So murder is wrong because we as a people believe that it's wrong, and the law has agreed that it's wrong, so that's why it's wrong. So that's why we should obey that.
I mean, not necessarily, but that's just kind of what happens.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not saying that that's what I think. It's just what happens. I'm just observing.
Yeah. Because the reason why the question I'm trying to get an understanding of the question is because so many people in society believe that a lot of the laws are wrong now, today. Like, who's right, who's morally right, and who's morally wrong? Is Donald Trump right, who disagrees with the LGBTQ community, or is that the gay activist right? Who's morally right and who's morally wrong?
Objectively speaking, none of them.
None of them.
Yeah, objectively speaking, none of them. Because the thing is, when you're looking at counter arguments, there's a reason why people aren't usually just dicks to be dicks. A lot of times they feel threatened, like their own survival feels threatened in a way, you know, and that's something that we do need to like look at and acknowledge. And we can prove them right through wrong through discourse, that my existence doesn't have to threaten another person, you know, and vice versa, you know, because there are a lot of people in the LGBTQ communities on the super far left that are spewing hate just as much as the other Trump supporters, you know, and because they feel threatened by their existence as well, because the other, you know, bigots are saying whatever, you know.
So what you're essentially saying is there is no right or wrong.
Yeah, we all subscribe meaning to everything.
So I think what you're essentially saying is you have no right to say to the person who comes up to you, and this might be a little graphic, who starts choking you to death, that he's wrong.
Well, he is wrong because he's threatening my life. Like, I mean, like I said, there are things that are objectively true that we have seen throughout so many societies. And that's usually you ensuring your own survival and you ensure the survival of your people. That's a DNA thing.
Yeah.
So like it's for us to kind of like perpetuate this society, to perpetuate these rules and standards that we have made up. It's just, that's what we're kind of doing this for, right?
Yeah.
You know, so like the only way to ensure that is to make sure you actually stay alive, because if you're not alive, then who's going to enforce these, you know, rules? Like, if we all die, then these rules mean nothing.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But what I'm saying is if man is the one who determines what is morally right or what's morally wrong, I think it's impossible for us to dictate what is right, what is wrong, because my standard of what's right is different from your standard. So if my standard of rightness is I should have the right to choke who I want, who are you to argue against me? That's my point. So if man is the one who determined what's morally right, what's morally wrong, how can we then argue about somebody who thinks choking someone to death is wrong, when in his worldview, it's morally right?
You just gotta find a good way to argue. That's how you do it.
What
Like, that's just how you do it.
You can't-
Like, you just gotta find a way to argue them.
She says we just have to find a good way to argue against it. This is basically her strategy of defense to try to avoid the question that I'm presenting. By her saying you just have to find a good way to argue against it is eliminating this whole objective truth that she claims that she lives by. Because right after this, what you will see is I asked her, what is wrong with the Holocaust? And she says, it's wrong, which is a subjective truth, right? She feels personally the Holocaust is wrong, but she claims that she lives by objective truth. For those who don't know what our objective truth is, truth that we go by based on facts or reality. Subjective truth is truth that we go off based on personal experience or feelings. But she claims that she lives by this objective truth, but she's giving subjective answers consistently. And that's because we know that we're created in the image of God. She knows that she's created in the image of God. She doesn't know that slavery or the Holocaust is wrong because society says it's wrong. She knows slavery and the Holocaust is wrong because her heart says it's wrong. And the reason why is because she is made in the Imago Dei, which is in the image of God.
Gotcha.
You got to find some really good facts, some really good examples, whatever you may bring to the table, and just out-argue them. You know, it's possible.
Gotcha.
Absolutely possible without the intervention of a higher being or a third party or, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And there are things that we have as society, as a species throughout history that we've witnessed and that we have determined together, that we're not going to do this anymore. For instance, the Holocaust. We have like a pretty, I mean, it could be a little loose. It could be tighter, in my opinion.
What was
but,
wrong with the Holocaust?
It was wrong. We killed a whole subset of people.
What's wrong with
you know?
murder? What's wrong with murder?
It doesn't ensure the survival of certain things that we hold valuable. And that's what I'm saying is one of the very key things that are objectively true is to ensure our survival of our, clan, of our culture and stuff like that. So we can keep making up these rules.
And who determines what's morally right to the people who got killed in the Holocaust?
See,
the people?
I think where you're getting at is that you're so into the particular versus the objective, when I think that we should stop looking at all of that, like the one or, the particular and the universal. And I think instead we should kind of just look at it all together. Like I said, we all as a society, whether we mean to or not, are participating in these rules that aren't.
So
love Atlanta.
Yeah, I love Atlanta too. So we saw her earlier. So one thing I'm not trying to do. I'm not trying to look at the particular versus the universal. Okay. I'm saying that all truth has a source. Everything that we do comes from something. Yeah. Nothing truth just doesn't come out of the sky. And if there is truth, there is only one truth. Do you agree with that? It can't be two truths.
Like I said earlier at the beginning of the conversation, subjectivity is objectivity. So there's 1,000 millions, billions subjective perspectives going on right now simultaneously, correct?
So,
that's the only objective truth. The fact that there are subjective truths, that
so,
there are so many truths is the one truth.
I follow you.
Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. But if I tell you that you are a white middle class woman, is it true?
I mean, no.
It's not true. Right?
Of course not.
Right, because there can't be two truths. So you can only be one person, right?
But I'm also grounded in this physical reality. I mean, if you want to talk metaphysics, and we can talk about things that aren't, physically true, like me obviously being a white woman is not physically true.
Yeah.
We can go into that tangent, but I thought we were staying in this realm.
Yeah. I am.
We can go in that realm.
No.
If you can't tell, I was a philosophy major.
Yeah, I could tell. I could tell that you're very, very intelligent. And I love talking to intelligent people. But what I'm saying is, I think we're in the same realm. If you follow me, what I'm saying is, I think the same thing that is true about you, that you are. What's your nationality?
I am from Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. That you're a Dominican woman, right? With very beautiful hair, and that's very fashionable. That's you. That's the makeup of you. I think the same thing can be made about God, right? If we do our research, right?
This physical reality, like you can see me, touch me, feel me, like I'm here talking to you.
Yeah, but that's also significant proof that Jesus existed. There's more. Yeah,
and he's one of my favorite people in history.
Gotcha.
He's great.
Gotcha. Well, the Jesus in history, right, claimed to be God. So that if he did exist, we have to consider all the claims that he made, right? So if you believe in the existence of Jesus, you have to believe also in all the claims that Jesus made. Say for instance, 2,000 years go by, and somebody believed that you existed, but they denied that you were Dominican. Do they believe in you?
I don't know.
Right. So the Jesus that you believed in claimed to be God in the flesh.
Yeah, but there's so many people that claim to be God. Should I take them all seriously? In your argument, sure, we should take everyone serious, see if their claims meet up with the facts and the things like that. That's good.
Now
whatever.
that's what we agree on.
Yeah, again, but like a lot of men have claimed to be the son of God.
Yeah. And if you do your research, right? Because you might be a philosophy major, but I've studied scripture, but I also study like history outside of the Bible that proves that scripture is the narrative of scripture is right.
Yeah, like the flood. There was a flood, like things like that, of course.
Absolutely.
But you also have to think that so many things, especially the literature throughout human history, has been tainted to suit our needs.
Absolutely.
Like whether it's religious text or not, it could be political text as well, It's so many different things. And like, I definitely appreciate the perspective. And like, I think it's very important. I think religion is necessary. It lets people get by day by day, but I don't think it's the whole truth.
Gotcha. Well, that's your opinion. But even if you look at the Bible, you see the Old Testament. The Old Testament is a foreshadowing of what is to come, which is Jesus Christ. So even though you have men, back in the Old Testament, before Christ even came, claimed to be Jesus, they were all carbon copies of the prophets who prophesied that one day a Messiah would come and his name would be Jesus and he would be born in Bethlehem of a virgin birth. They were all carbon copies. But if you do your research, there is significant evidence, historical evidence and physical evidence of Jesus being the true God of the Bible. Like 500 people saw him after the resurrection, right? These are claims. Let me ask you a question. Society in the 16, 17, and the 1800s, as a society, the majority of society determined that slavery was right. Was it right or wrong?
I mean, we have, again, as a society, determined after a certain time that is wrong. And now we have the Declaration of, Human Rights as ratified through the United Nations, which all nations that are part of the United Nations accept as objective truth.
Well, so I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about then.
Yeah. As a society, it was okay. It was fine.
So slavery was morally right then.
According to the people that ran society at the time, yes.
Was it morally right though? I'm not talking about.
Are you talking about my opinion? Is it morally right? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay, obviously, no, because throughout human history, again, we have determined as a society that those types of things are wrong.
So this is my question to you, is how are you then able to argue against slavery? Well, how when I say argue, how are you then able to say that slavery was wrong when society determined that it was right? Because before you just said society determines whether something is right or wrong.
I live here now, there are things that we do that are wrong now that we may not think that is actually wrong. Like we may think like maybe what you're arguing about moral relativism. Like moral relativism is, should we judge people over the shit that we decided 100, 200, 300 years later that was actually morally wrong? Should we judge people when they had their own set of rules and standards and blah, blah, blah? Like what does that say about us? And we still do it even to cultures right now that are existing, this like moral relativist type of like argument, which is what you're proposing, you know?
Gotcha.
And I hate moral relativism. I hate it because it's a circular argument. You're never going to get anywhere, and you're never actually going to find a solution.
I think you can get somewhere. This is what I think you can get to. I think that you can get to the point is, the reason why you believe that slavery is wrong, believe it or not, is that you know that we were created by a holy and a righteous God. All human beings have a moral compass inside of them that says, I deserve dignity and respect. So the reason why you can say on one hand that, society determines whether, what's morally right or what's morally wrong. And then I can ask you about slavery. That was wrong. When society actually proved that, was right or passed a bill that we could. It's wrong in today's standard, but you can fundamentally disagree with slavery as being morally wrong because you know that human beings being enslaved and being killed and being murdered is morally wrong. And the reason why we believe that it's morally wrong is because deep down inside, every human being knows that they were created in the image of God. We know that we were created in the image of God. All human beings want to be treated like they're made in the image of God, but not all human beings actually acknowledge the God that created them or deny the God. We live like atheists, but we hold to the Christian worldview. What I'm saying is I have a basis. I have a basis to say what's morally wrong or what's morally not wrong.
Because of your religious affiliates.
Because I have acknowledged the God who created me.
Yeah.
I have a from my worldview. In my worldview, I have a basis to say, you know what, enslaving me is wrong. In your worldview, I don't really know. That's what confuses me, because you believe that truth is kind of what we make it.
I understand that, but what you're proposing again, and like the kind of sentiment that I'm getting from you is that, like, is it possible to have morals if you don't have God? It's like what I'm getting at right now, because you're now saying that my morals, questioning slavery is questionable because I don't have that basis in God because of your argument.
What I'm saying is, if you don't have God, where do your moral standards come from?
From society.
From society. But at the same time, you said slavery was wrong. That was their moral standard.
Yeah, and like I said,
was it wrong or right?
You're again bringing moral relativism into this.
I'm not bringing moral. I'm not.
You are.
Hear me out.
I am hearing you out. It's circular. Like, we've already talked about this.
I
don't think you're hearing.
I am hearing you. What I'm saying is, follow me. Please follow.
I have been in a circle.
No, it's not a circle.
Okay, let's hear it again.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Okay.
Listen to what I'm saying. You said slavery was wrong,
Yes.
right?
For today's standards, again, for clarification, I've said it 4 times.
So, but no, you said it's for today's standards.
Yeah,
but
we have determined that it's wrong.
But you fundamentally disagree with it today and yesterday and then.
Because
If you
of what I know today,
yeah.
what they didn't know back then.
So if you were you don't think the slaves knew that slavery was wrong back then? You thought it was okay?
There were some slaves who thought that it was okay. Like,
It was
there
the
were.
it was the norm.
Of course, no one wants to be treated shitty. Of course, no one wants that. I'm sure that they knew that they were being treated not like great.
Yeah,
like,
slavery's-
I'm sure the slaves knew that. I'm sure that they knew probably a lot more about morals than their slave owners.
No, I don't.
They probably did because of how they were being treated. Like, shit, I shouldn't be treated like this. Should I treat people? Like, they probably.
Well,
did
I'm pretty
arguably.
sure. What I'm saying is, I'm pretty sure the slaves knew that slavery was wrong. This is the reason why they ran away. This is the reason why we have abolitionists. This is the reason why we people that fought against slavery. They morally knew that they would also made in the image of God, and this is the reason why they fought against slavery. So you don't know.
They didn't know that, yet they still knew that slavery was wrong.
What I'm saying is, you don't just believe that slavery was wrong because of our society today. You believe that slavery was wrong because it's wrong. That's so. With all due respect, I'm trying to respect you. I'm not trying to disrespect you. To say you believe that slavery was wrong because of the society that we live in today, I feel like it's a cop out. You believe that slavery was wrong is because slavery was just wrong. It's just morally wrong to treat somebody like that.
But you're saying that slavery is wrong because of your moral standings with your God or your creator or whatever, because you're made in that image and blah, 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 blah. I get that. But that can also be a cop-out because maybe you're just like, oh, I don't really know where we're getting these answers from, so I'm just going to use God as an example and just call it a day.
Well, here's
I could say the exact same thing, and we can go back and forth.
What I want to say is I don't think I'm coming with a logical argument. If you went to court right now, right, and you
trust me, I know all about logic. I actually wrote a really awesome piece that I presented at a conference in undergrad, and it's called The Responsibility of Believing in God. And it was a 12-page paper, and the whole paper was basically centered around how sometimes we forego and we forfeit our responsibility in the world around us for the sake of religion, for the sake of what's easier or whatever. I'm not saying you do that, but that is an argument that a lot of
say it one more time. I'm sorry. Say what you just said as far as.
So a lot of people people in philosophy believe, and this is what the paper was arguing, and this is not necessarily my belief, but this is just a belief that I was explaining in the paper. A lot of people believe that a lot of religious people forfeit their social responsibility, and instead, and they do that because they can't figure out a way to like actually look within themselves and within like their own moral compass or their own subjective truths or whatever to like actually make moral decisions. You know, they need a third party, they need a God, they need a religion, they need whatever to like, you know, make those kind of decisions. And so a lot of philosophers, especially Jean-Paul Sartre, French existentialist philosopher, propose that it's laziness from like, you know, humans to do that. And it's, but I mean, I'm not saying that I believe that, so don't look at me like that. I am just, you know, telling you the argument.
I'm not offended. I'm not offended.
But yeah, so I wrote this paper about that, and I just wanted to say that because I feel like you're saying that I'm having a cop out, but I mean, I could just argue the same back.
Well, I respect your opinion. I respect your opinion, and what you just said made a whole lot of sense. As a matter of fact, I know a lot of Christians, a lot of people who practice religion, who do study religion as a cop out to ignore what happens in society.
I think the sad truth here is she wants to be her own God. She doesn't really get her truth from society. She doesn't really get her truth from other people. She gets her truth from herself. And I think that she's trying to pinpoint where she gets her truth from so she can have a solid argument. But the argument is she doesn't really get her truth from anybody but herself. It's because she wants to be her own God and she doesn't want to submit to somebody who has authority over her life. Actually, after this conversation, I followed her into the coffee shop and we had another conversation, a sit-down conversation that was very respectful. And I think her guard was down and she wasn't trying to rebuttal everything I was saying because the camera wasn't there, which was a good conversation that I really, really enjoyed. She actually agreed to have another conversation on camera for you guys to see later on. Hopefully you'll be able to tune into that when I do it. But the last thing that she said in this video was, I don't know. And I think that's just truth of just the whole conversation. I think she just didn't know, but she just didn't want to admit it.
I'll ask you a question relating back to slavery. This is the last thing I'm going to ask. So slavery by a lot of slave owners was defended, obviously.
By scripture.
Yeah, by scripture. How do you account for that?
Yeah, I think it's just a testament to wicked men. I think it's a testament to just wicked men. I believe if you read the Bible, I don't believe that the Bible condones slavery. So, yeah, I think it's just a testament to how man's nature is fallen, and we would use anything to manipulate people.
That's noble. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, well, I have to go. It was really good talking to you. We definitely disagreed.
Yeah.
But
This
I
is a
feel
good
like
argument.
That,
I
could
can
keep
tell.
going, but I have some work to do.
Yeah, I can tell that you're way smarter than me, and I love talking to people
No,
who.
you're pretty smart.
Yeah.
But definitely look into cultural relativism. I think that'll really, and like literally, no, I'm not trying to offend you or anything like that. I really think it'll help your arguments out.
Yeah.
If you really look into it and really.
And I want you to look at how it's impossible to make a claim when you believe that society determines what is morally right. Because if society determines what's morally right, right?
Yeah.
It's impossible for us to say this person is wrong and this person is right.
But if you remember, if you like maybe look back on there, I didn't say that I actually believed that. I said I was just observing them.
Yeah, but you still haven't told me who determines what's right or wrong. Yeah, you don't know. You don't
And
know.
neither do you.
So therefore you have no claim. No, I do have a claim because I believe in a God who says what's right and wrong.